My name is Jeremy, and to this day, I wish this had just been my imagination. I grew up in a quiet suburb in Wisconsin. My parents worked long hours, so most of the time, it was just me and my little sister, Ashley. The house next door, to the left of ours, was different. Peeling gray paint, windows always shut tight, and an overgrown yard where weeds swallowed the pathway. That house wasn't empty. A man lived there, but we barely saw him. His name was Mr. Hartley. In his 60s, white beard trimmed short, eyes always hidden behind dark sunglasses. He never said hello, never went for walks, but the strangest thing, his basement door never closed. We could see it from our window, always cracked open, even in winter, even when it snowed. One day, Ashley came home from school and told me someone called her from the other side of the fence. It was the old man, she said. He said he wanted to show me something. I warned her not to go near him, but that night, while we were eating dinner, we heard a dull banging coming from the side of the house, like a door swinging open and shut, over and over. Thud, thud, thud. My dad got up, opened the back door and yelled, "Everything all right over there?" Nothing. He looked at the neighbor's basement. Door open again, swaying with the breeze. But there was no breeze that night. The next week, Mr. Hartley brought over some mail, saying it had landed in the wrong box. Ashley answered the door. He didn't say a word, just held the letter out and smiled. But it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind that says he knows something you don't. That same night, Ashley had nightmares. He was calling me from the basement, she said it was warm down there and there were toys, and that the door only closed if two people were inside. I told my parents. They tried to brush it off, said he was just an odd, lonely man. But then things started to change around the house. The thermostat malfunctioned at night. Our back door lock was often found undone in the morning. And one night, I heard footsteps in the hallway. I got up, went to Ashley's room. She was standing at the window, staring at the neighbor's basement. "He's waving at me," she whispered. No one was out there. But when I looked again, the basement door was shut, for the first time. The next day, the police were at Mr. Hartley's place. Someone had made an anonymous call, claiming he was hiding inappropriate objects in his basement. They searched, found nothing. He wasn't arrested, just became even quieter. But after that visit, things changed again. The basement door stayed closed, but the sound didn't stop. The final week before we moved out, yes, we moved away, something happened I still can't explain. I went out back to get the dog. It was dark, and the streetlights were out. I saw a figure to the left, near the fence. It was him, Mr. Hartley, smiling. "You should have let her in," he said. "The door only closes when two go in." I ran, locked every door in the house, didn't tell anyone. But the next morning, the back door was locked from the outside, as if someone had sealed us in. We moved out the following week. Years later, as an adult, I looked up that address. The owner of the neighboring house, George Hartley, had died in 1995. Yes, same name, but he died 7 years before I was born. The photo in the article, it was him. Same sunglasses, same smile. They say he vanished in a fire, in the house that used to sit where ours was built. On the day of the incident, he locked 2 children in the basement, then vanished with them. But the part that still chills me, I went back there just months ago, maybe out of morbid curiosity. The house was gone, but in the tall grass, the basement entrance was still there, and the door was cracked open. My name is Caleb Monroe, and even after all these years, I still avoid looking at half-open doors. It might sound silly, but if you'd been through what I have, you'd understand. I lived in Austin, Texas, in a small, peaceful apartment complex. One of those places where neighbors know each other's names and the biggest drama is deciding whose turn it is to mow the lawn. It was my first apartment alone. New job, new life. Everything seemed promising. Except for one thing. Apartment 206. It was right next to mine. Peeling paint, an old rusted doorknob, and a mailbox stuffed with flyers and unpaid bills. The door was always closed, always quiet, but according to the janitor, someone lived there. Her name's Donna, he said, but she never comes out. Must be a recluse, or just really shy. The first week, I didn't think much of it. It's not unusual to have quiet neighbors. But then the noises started. Knocking, always at night, always 3 knocks. At first, I figured it was the plumbing. The building was old. But then, the whispers came. They sounded like they were coming from my built-in closet, the one that shared a wall with 206. Scattered words, hard to understand. Other times, just breathing, long, heavy. I recorded it one night on my phone. The audio was almost inaudible, but when I amplified it, I could clearly hear, "Caleb, don't close the door," I told a friend. He thought it was funny, said I was getting paranoid from living alone. But a few days later, I came home to find my front door slightly ajar. The latch was still locked, but the deadbolt was scratched, like someone had tried to force it open or closed it from the outside. Nothing was missing, but all the mirrors in my apartment had been turned toward the wall. And on the dark screen of my TV, there were fingerprints. I set up a cheap motion-activated security camera by the door. It started recording whenever it detected movement. The third night, I got a notification. The footage showed a hooded figure with long hair crouching at my front door. They stayed there for nearly 20 minutes, still unmoving. Then, slowly, they lifted their head and looked straight into the lens. Their eyes were white, no pupils, no irises, like shattered porcelain. I showed the footage to the building manager. He invited me to his office to talk privately. "Caleb, you need to know something. Apartment 206 has been vacant since April. But the janitor told me a woman lives there." She did. Her name was Donna, the mother of the last tenant. She died in the bathroom and wasn't found for days. I went back to my place, shaken. That night, I heard the knocks again. But this time, they were on my door. I checked the peephole. Nothing. Then, my TV turned on by itself. Static. And behind the white noise, a whispering voice. "You're already inside 206. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I asked to terminate my lease early. I was told there'd be a 2-month penalty. I paid it, but I still had 2 weeks before I could move out. And that's when the nights got worse. I started waking up at 3:03 a.m. every night. My phone alarm would ring even though it wasn't set, and the hallway light would flicker on by itself. I began recording myself talking in my sleep. In one of the recordings, I whispered, "It doesn't lock from the outside. It locks from the inside. And you already locked it." I tried sleeping elsewhere. One night, I booked a hotel. But even there, the room phone rang at 3:03. When I answered, a weak voice said, "You left the door open." I came back, scared but exhausted. I just wanted it to be over. On the night before I moved out, I worked up the courage. I waited until the building was quiet and used a skeleton key I bought online. I tried the door of 206. It opened easily. No resistance, like it had been waiting. The inside was damp, dark, and oddly warm. The smell was moldy, but mixed with something sweet. In the bathroom, I found a toothbrush still wet, and a cracked mirror. In the center, scratched into the glass. "She only leaves if someone comes in." I felt dizzy. Leaning against the wall for support, I caught a glimpse of the mirror in the hallway. And in the reflection, someone was standing behind me. I turned around. No one. But the floor behind the door was wet. I ran, slammed the door shut, dropped the key on the hallway floor, and never looked back. The next morning, I moved to another city, another state, another life. But 3 weeks ago, I received an envelope. No return address. Inside was an old brass key and one handwritten sentence. 207 is empty now. 207 is my current apartment number. My name is Natalie Chambers, and for years I managed to keep this buried. But after what happened to my son, someone needs to know. Back in 2018, after my divorce, I moved with my little boy, Eli, who was 6 at the time, into a duplex just outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was an old house, 2 stories and an attic. The street was quiet, so quiet it felt frozen in time. The price was amazing, even if it needed a little work. I couldn't complain. It was all I could afford, except for the room upstairs. It wasn't haunted. It didn't have any legend or tragic story. It was just too quiet. No echo even when empty. No smell. Not of wood. Not of mold. Not of anything. Felt like that space wasn't inside the house at all. The first month went by fine. Eli slept in the room next to mine on the lower floor. But soon he started asking every night to lock his door. He said he heard noises upstairs. I brushed it off. The house was old. Creaks and groans were normal. "It's okay, honey. Old houses talk." He nodded. But every morning, the door to the upstairs room was wide open. And I swear to God, I locked it. By the 3rd week, Eli changed. He was quieter, more alert. He'd just watch me, while I cooked, while I cleaned, like he was waiting for something to happen, to me. And one night, before bed, he whispered, "Mom, if I stay in my room tonight, promise you won't go upstairs?" "Why, sweetheart?" "Because the man in the room upstairs said tonight he wants you." My blood ran cold. I tried to laugh it off. "Does this man have a name?" "No. He says he used to live here, but now he's not welcome, and someone has to let him back in." That night, I locked every door, blocked the stairs with a chair, left the TV on low just for sound. Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps above me, heavy steps, right where that upstairs room was. I rushed to the hall. The chair was on the floor. The door to the upstairs room was cracked open. Eli was still asleep. I should have stayed with him, but something pulled me toward the stairs. The door opened on its own. The room was pitch black. No windows, no furniture, just empty. I stepped inside. The wood creaked, but the sound didn't echo. I took another step and heard breathing right behind me. I turned around. Nothing. But then the door slammed shut, and the room began to stretch. The space inside seemed to expand, but the walls didn't move. I tried the handle. Nothing. I pounded, screamed, but all I heard was one sound: laughter, children's laughter, mixed with a deep, gasping voice. "You heard him. Now, he hears you." Seconds or minutes later, the door swung open. I stumbled back downstairs. Eli was still asleep, but now he was mumbling. I leaned in close. He whispered, "Don't open it again. Don't open it." The next day, I contacted the former owner. He'd moved to Florida. I found him through the realtor. When I mentioned the upstairs room, he went silent. Then he said, "The house was a rental for years. A lot of tenants complained. The last one lost his son, fell asleep with the kid in his arms, and in the morning, the kid was gone. The police said he wandered off, but the father swore the door was locked. They found the body in the attic. That night, I locked myself in my room with Eli, but the footsteps returned. Louder, faster. Now they ran, back and forth, like someone pacing, testing the floor. At exactly 3:03 a.m., the hallway light came on, and the door upstairs slammed. Twice, then silence. For days it repeated. Eli stopped talking. He only drew pictures. All of them were of a man in a suit, with no face. I called a priest. He wouldn't go upstairs. This house doesn't just have memories. It has inheritance. Someone left something open, and it's trying to come back. We moved out within 72 hours. I didn't sell the house. I left it, abandoned it. Today I live in another state. Eli smiles again, but every night he locks his bedroom door with 2 bolts, and he draws a square with a phrase in the center: "Don't let him back in." You've heard it all. 3 true stories. 3 neighbors who never knocked on your door, but might just be on the other side of your wall. A basement that never closes. A door that was never meant to open. A room where time doesn't obey. If there's one thing I've learned after writing, narrating, And living through stories like these, it's that evil doesn't always come from far away. Sometimes it lives next door, or just above you. And if any of these stories made your heart race, if something about them felt too familiar, then maybe you've had a neighbor who didn't want to be forgotten either. Before you leave this video, do yourself a favor, backhand index pointing right, like, share, and comment if anything strange has ever happened near your home, late at night, or when everyone swore that place was empty. Your story could be next. And here on this channel, we listen to every one of them, even the ones that should never be told. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because what's on the other side of the wall is still listening.